Hello everyone, Paul from High Tech Legion. And one thing that I think many of us have, or we all should have right now, is one of these, an SSD. It's great for storage, it's great for optimizing anything that you need to use, etc. But unfortunately, like myself, I can't trust Windows to do everything for me. I don't trust it to optimize my disk. I don't trust it to do a secure erase. So what option do I have? Well, as you can see, I have an ADATA SSD here. And the reason why I have an ADATA SSD is because ADATA has an SSD toolkit that you could use to help optimize your system, optimize your SSD, of course, and it'll also give you your health rating on your disk itself and do quite a few different things like update your firmware or even check to see if there's any bad sectors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at the SSD tool from ADATA, and I'm also going to go ahead and flash the firmware on this disk. All right, everyone. Before you do anything, you're going to have to obtain the software. So you're going to need to go to adata.com and then click on the valuable software link. Then you will see SSD Toolbox. Go ahead and click on that link, follow the instructions to download it. Once you've downloaded it and then you install it, of course, this is the interface that you're going to see. As you can see, it does say SSD Toolbox on the right hand side, and on the left it does have the ADATA logo. If you remember, I did state that this was not only for ADATA drives. You can use other drives with this software. I have two drives in this system at the time being. One is, of course, a Patriot Pyro, and then the second one is my ADATA SX900. The first tab on the left, which is drive info, shows you all your drive info. So whatever drives you have in there will be denoted under the right hand side where it says drive info. Underneath that, of course, is space info. So there is no partition on this specific disk because I don't have it formatted yet. But if you can look at the Patriot Pyro, you can see that on that specific partition I have 48.9 gigabytes free, and that is actually 21.9% of the disk. It also shows you your current temperature, how many total bytes have been written to that disk. Below that is, of course, your drive health and your estimated life remaining. By clicking on the Smart Details button, it shows you all your smart information. We'll go ahead and switch over to the ADATA and show you the smart information on that one also. Up on the top here, we do have drive details, and I waited to show you this because this is going to give you your exact drive details for the drive itself. It's going to give you your driver version, of course, your controller version if it's going to be AHCI, etc. And it'll give you a detailed drive information. It'll also tell you what firmware version, etc. This button up here just refreshes everything, and of course this is your home button. So if you're on another tab and you want to click it on home, just click on the home and it'll go to it. So that's all your drive info that you have. So let's go ahead to Diagnostics now. The Diagnostics, basically what it's going to do is it's going to give you a quick diagnostic scan of your drive, or it'll do a full diagnostic scan of your drive. If you decide to click run, of course it'll diagnose everything under the quick diagnose, and it does take about 5 to 7 minutes. I understand that this says under 2 minutes, but it takes about 5 to 7. The full diagnostic scan does take a lot longer, and that'll depend on your drive on how big it is. So by clicking run, It'll go ahead and just start diagnosing your disk. Of course, I don't want to go through the whole system, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that right now. So we could go ahead and look at the utilities. Under the utilities, what we have is secure erase. Now, remember this with secure erase. If you're going to secure erase your SSD, you do need to unplug it and plug it back in. Now, make sure you go into your BIOS and change that SATA port that you have it in to hot swappable, because if you don't do it, you're going to blow your disk and you're going to be getting an RMA here. So you don't want to do that. Now, if you have an ADATA SSD in your system and you want to update the firmware, or you want to check to see if there's a firmware update, all you have to do is click on firmware update. It will take you to the product recognition page or registration page. You type in your email address. Once you type in your email address and click download, it will automatically download the new firmware if there is firmware available for you. Toolbox upgrade basically does the same thing. It'll bring you back to the ADATA site. If there's a new version, you could go ahead and download that. And then of course there's an export log. And basically what that does is it gives you a log of everything once you click on it, and it'll put it on your desktop as you can see here, and it'll show you a log of everything that is going on. System optimization is another good feature for this. What we could do is we could optimize our system no matter what disk you have in there. So we'll go ahead and perform a trim. If you want to perform a trim, you could always do under the OS optimization, do a super fetch, prefetch, automatic defragmentation. If you go to advanced, now you can see it does a little bit more. Large system cache, system files and memory, etc., etc. Last but not least, we have the system info. What is the toolbox version we're using? What operating system, CPU, usable RAM, what motherboard do you have, and what model is it? Now, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to flash the firmware on this drive. I've already gone through and clicked firmware update, downloaded the new firmware. So on my desktop, I do have my unzipped folder. I'll go into my file updater, and we'll open the file updater and allow it to scan for my drives. I'm going to check the ADATA. Now, it's very important to look at the signature, because you're going to need this to find the exact flash file that you need to flash this specific firmware. So it is 22733. So I'm going to click update firmware. It's going to bring me to where I have my files. I've already pre-done this, so I don't have to go and look. So we'll go down and we'll look for 22733, which is right here. We will click open. It'll say automatic restart may occur after this operation. You should save all unsaved data, etc. And then we will click proceed. As you can see, it did flash the firmware. It does have a check mark on it right now. So now the new firmware, after I go ahead and reboot my system, should reflect the new firmware that we just installed. So give me a second, I'll be right back, and we'll go ahead and look at the SSD toolkit to verify that I've gone from 5.07a to the new firmware which they have. Alright everyone, the system has rebooted. I'm going to go ahead and click on my icon for the ADATA SSD Toolbox. We'll go ahead and look at the drive info for disk 1, which is the ADATA SX900 SATA 6G 256 gigabyte SSD. If you remember, we had 5.0.7a. Now we are up to 5.2.5 on the firmware version. The SSD Toolbox is not only for ADATA SSDs or drives. You can use it and get the full diagnostics and system optimizations
out of this for your other drives. As you can see, I do have a Patriot Pyro. You could still use the utilities such as Secure Erase in order to securely erase your disk with it, which is something that I do on a fairly frequent basis since we do a lot of reviews here at High Tech Legion. But great little tool for everybody. Again, go ahead to adata.com and download it, and I'll be right back with my final thoughts.
All right, everyone. Well, hope you enjoyed our little tutorial on ADATA SSD Toolbox. And of course, if you don't have an ADATA SSD drive in your computer, you might want to think about purchasing one. This happens to be the SX900. They've also launched a new line, which is the SX920. It is available now, and that has capacities up to 1 terabyte. But remember, SSD Toolbox is very versatile. You could use it with multiple different drives. It doesn't have to specifically be an ADATA drive. So if you have another drive which does not offer you some intuitive software that you could use in order to fine-tune your SSD, you might want to go ahead and take a look at it. Remember, everyone, subscribe to this channel, please. We would appreciate it. Make sure you like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com HTL Reviews. And of course, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com High Tech Legion. And of course, for all our reviews, for everything that you might want to know about hardware and technology, please visit us at www.hightechlegion.com. Stay thirsty, everyone. We will see you the next time. Bye-bye.